Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football. Dill, I feel bad for the SEC, man. They had their chance to knock off Georgia because what's the narrative been around Georgia throughout 2025? Like they're a good football team that's winning football games, but the Georgia fans that I've talked to, and I've certainly agreed with this sentiment, it's this team's good. I'm not sure if it's great. It's not a super impressive football team, even though they were 7-1 heading into this one. Well, gosh darn it, man, the SEC had their chance because you're seeing Georgia reach their best form. That was by far the most complete and dominant football game that we've seen Georgia play all year. And look, I'll say this about Mississippi State. Jeff Lebby's got this thing going in the right direction. They've been very competitive with some very good football teams over the last couple of weeks. If I'm a Georgia fan, now I'm asking myself the question, all right, just how good can this team be? And we knew they were a college football playoff team. We just weren't sure how dangerous they actually were when they got there. You get this version of Georgia, though, they can bang with anybody in the country. You make no mistake about it.
And I kind of wonder, is it just going to look a little bit different? Because, again, the
Yeah,
defense to me doesn't feel like that vintage, like dominant, imposing defense. Again, I thought some guys who needed to play well or
agreed.
better maybe than they've been playing all year
Yes.
played pretty well against Mississippi State. But this offense, I know Mike Bobo's taken his fair share of criticism, certainly no more, at least from the Georgia fans.
Yep.
He's putting together a really good offense. They can run the ball well. I love what they're doing in the passing attack, being able to hit some big plays. This is a really good offense. Again, I think even me, I almost feel like I discounted what Georgia's been doing because it just doesn't look like old school Georgia ball. But this offense, they can lead the way to very high heights.
And Dill, what I thought I saw is this was the best performance we've seen from the Georgia defense because that Mississippi State team can score, man.
Yeah.
I thought they were pretty solid at all three levels. The question now becomes, and we'll try to answer this together. All right, how dangerous can they be if they continue to get better as a football team? Because I'll say this before we kind of get into what we saw. Go look at Ohio State last year. Was Ohio State the most impressive football team in the regular season? Not really. But when they got to the playoffs, they continued to get better, and they played their best football in the playoffs, and they won a national championship. They were the best team in the country. If you're a Georgia fan, it's all right, what version can we get from this football team as we go into December and January? And Dill, this is why Kirby Smart gets paid the big bucks, man. There are a lot of loser head coaches. Like Hugh Freeze, Billy Napier. When Georgia played both of those teams, you could make the argument that maybe Florida and Auburn should have won. But you having a guy like Kirby Smart that has instilled so much winning into this program, that matters. It's going to matter the rest of the season. It's going to matter in the college football playoffs. We got a lot to get into before we do, and as always, the Georgia fans, appreciate you guys. It's been a uniquely fun team to talk about, not because Georgia's been dominating like that we've seen them in the past, but it's looked a little bit different. You can tell Kirby Smart really does like this football team. And I'll say this right off the bat, though. Gunnar Stockton seems to be the perfect quarterback for this kind of Georgia team because it's a little bit more gritty. You have to be gritty because I don't think this team blows teams away with the talent they have on the roster. And it's a gritty freaking football team, man. Really fun. Appreciate you guys. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. And Dill,
let me take this one away because even the way you just described Gunnar Stockton, does that not feel like slightly like discounting what he's doing from purely the quarterback position? Some of the throws he's making. That throw to Oscar Delp right up the seam, that's a big time throw. The throw to Ellis Williams, big time. These are big time throws to me. I feel he runs the ball and he does some things that I would call gritty, but he also plays the quarterback spot really well. As just a pure passer.
I think that's fair. I think that's very fair. And what I love about Gunnar Stockton too, man, is that
I like the grit now. I'm not trying to say I don't like the grit, but also let's be honest, he's playing the quarterback.
Am I taking away too much of how talented of a quarterback he is? That might be true. That might be true. I love what he can do off schedule though. There is that Stetson Bennett in him where it's when it's time to get it done and move the chains, I don't care how it looks, man, go get it done. And Gunnar Stockton normally does. And everything you hear about his leadership qualities are off the charts. And I can't tell you how much of a fan I am just of the person Gunnar Stockton is. Here's the biggest storyline, though. because we ain't here talking about people here. I don't care what y'all want you winning games. Offensive line, Dill.
Yeah.
Come on, man. Like this offensive line, you could tell it was really banged up. And you were throwing Juan Gaston into the fire, and you were throwing Dontrell Glover into the fire, and you had different offensive line combinations every single weekend. But Dill, Micah Morris he's like in a walking, like a full body cast out there playing. Monroe Freeland clearly was not healthy to start the season. They're healthy, man. They are not only healthy, they are road grading, man. Really good in pass protection, by the way. But what they did in the run game, like everybody wants to talk about Nate Frazier, and we'll get to that because that's the Nate Frazier that we expected coming into the year. This offensive line, this is starting to turn into a vintage Georgia unit where they are just imposing their will on opposing defenses, and you feel like you need that if Georgia wants to make a run in the college football playoffs.
And to me, it's Dontrell Glover. I love what they've
so
done.
Good.
And honestly, like I know they want to get Juan Gaston in that right guard too. Is it crazy for me to think Dontrell Glover really probably shouldn't be coming off the field a ton?
Well, they'll kick him to left guard too. Like Dontrell Glover, like Micah Morris is coming off. I think Dontrell Glover plays a little left too.
Dontrell Glover's been like he's going to be a guy. I mean, he is so good. I think I love what he does.
And Juan Gaston will be a guy too. Juan Gaston's getting better as well.
But it almost feels like he probably still needs like some like development, like getting himself more like Dontrell Glover is just a much better athlete. Like again, maybe he doesn't have the ceiling that Juan Gaston has, but right now I just think like again moves a little bit better. Right? He seems to me to be playing at such a high level. Yeah, I love what they're getting.
Dill, the thing with Dontrell Glover. He's an 18-year-old kid, freshman, playing in the – it's very hard to do in the SEC. When I watch him, it's like that's a fifth-year senior out there. Like just executing, man. Whether it's pulling play side, climbing to the second level, he's doing everything you need at a very, very high level for an 18-year-old true freshman. I think Monroe Freeling's really coming on, man. I love what he does in the run. He climbs to the second level so good. And I thought Ernest Green getting back healthy. Playing some solid football too. This is a Georgia offensive line. It's by far the best it has looked all year, and it shows. I mean, Gunnar Stockton was kept clean on 84% of dropbacks. They ran the football for 300 yards, averaging 7 yards per carry. It started with the offensive line. Running backs, man. Nate Frazier. Feels different, man.
That felt like he was playing a high school game there. Like he was dominating.
It feels when Nate Frazier is right. What I mean by that is when he's hitting it right, when he looks right, it feels different from every other running back, and not every other, but a lot of running backs in the country. When he's playing his best football, I truly believe he's one of the best backs in the country. You saw that version of Nate Frazier against Mississippi State. Now it's about pulling it out of that kid every single game. You get a consistent that level of Nate Frazier, this rushing attack, you're going to be able to run the football on anybody in the country, Dill. That matters. That's what separates teams in November and December. And then in the passing attack, I multi-dimensional, man, a lot of different guys that can do a lot of different things. I had my hand up, man. The Georgia fans know this. When Zachariah Branch committed to Georgia way back in the winter, I had my question marks. Right? So I don't think Zachariah Branch was awesome at USC. Thought he was solid. I don't think he was great. But we all knew the playmaking ability he had, and we all know that Georgia needed that kind of playmaker. Coach Bobo was using this kid, and I'll say this about Zachariah Branch too, Dill. He seems like he's grown up. I think there was some. I think he was still maturing when he was at USC. And go look at how he's blocking for Noah Thomas on that touchdown. Zachariah Branch physically putting it together as a wide receiver, difference maker with the football in his hands. But I think you're seeing a guy in Zachariah Branch really come into his own as a teammate and player too. That should fire up a lot of Georgia fans too. No comment on Zachariah Branch?
I thought you were flipping it to defense. I think this offense, we know that this offense honestly has been chugging along all year, playing really good football. To me, probably the biggest story was what the Georgia defense did last week. To me, that's what we needed to see because we've seen some really bad defense, I think, from Georgia so far this year. I thought that was a pretty impressive performance.
What do you think? Give some game balls out. Who do you want to talk about?
probably Quintavious Johnson. Like, they haven't had guys in the defensive line, to me, play at a particularly high level. I think you finally get a really good game from Quintavious Johnson. That'll be interesting going forward.
Thought Gabe Harris had a nice game
He
as
did.
well.
I mean, a nice pass rush on that sack that it took on shape.
I'll say this about Georgia on defenses, and we've been saying it all year, and I think a lot of Georgia fans agree with this. I don't know if you have that top 10, top 15 first round NFL draft pick, right, on the defensive line. And so the real question for Glenn Schumann is, all right, well, how do you replace that? How do you still trot out a defense that can win you football games and win you national championships, even though you might not have those high-end difference makers that we're used to seeing Georgia have? Well, you do have some high-end difference makers. They're just at different positions, man. When Georgia is playing their best defense, they are hyper aggressive with these off-ball backers. You saw that. I mean, between Allen and Raylan Wilson, they blitzed on 19 snaps yesterday afternoon. It's what it needs to look like, man. Like, when you have Raylan Wilson and CJ Allen hunting, that's when, because you're trying to replace that disruption and negative plays that we're so used to seeing Georgia have. And I don't know if you have the guys on the defensive line to do that. Well, you got to can provide that. These off-ball backers can. And the more you get them involved, the better this Georgia defense looks, the closer it looks to that vintage Georgia defense that is smothering and dominating. And you saw that at certain points against Mississippi State yesterday.
And honestly, I think another
I believe you speechless multiple times.
I believe part of it is the cornerbacks too, because that's the position to me that's prevented them from being able to play really aggressive with some guys not on that defensive line. I think you're starting to see Ellis Robinson tighten it up a little bit. Like, I'm not noticing him as much when I'm watching these Georgia games, because too early it felt like, oh, the ball's in the air. Is it going to Ellis? Penalties, not making plays on the ball. He feels like, to me, he's tightening his game up and playing a little bit more consistent, as is Dalen Everett, probably getting closer to back to what we saw last year. And that to me might be the biggest storyline, because I think we know if they can unleash those linebackers, they can play really well.
Bill, you're right.
Secondary needs to be good.
Yeah, if you want to get as active as you want to get with those linebackers, you're gonna have to lean on your cornerbacks to hold up on islands. And if you can have that, it lets you get these backers involved. That's what you need. Big one. Hey, like, feeling good. If you want to see this Georgia team really, we gonna find out next weekend. Appreciate you guys rocking with it. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. We'll talk to y'all later. Peace.